Before we begin, I invite you to gently close your ears and focus on what remains when all external sounds fade away. It's like sitting in a quiet room, and after a while, you notice a subtle ringing or hum beneath the silence. If you listen closely, you'll start to experience this soft, constant presence, something that feels like the very fabric of reality itself. In quantum physics, it's said that everything is connected at the most fundamental level, and that everything we see is just a manifestation of deeper, unseen energy. What you are hearing, or rather feeling, is that same energy, that same field of potential. This subtle ringing is what we call the sound of silence. It's not just an abstract concept or some external force. It's the very essence of you. Everything we discuss in this session, and the ones to come, will be about this sound of silence. It is not something separate or different from you. It is you. This exploration is about realizing that the sound of silence is your own inner being, your most fundamental nature, the stillness from which all life arises. You are that, the very presence behind everything. When we constantly strive to be someone or achieve something, we expend an enormous amount of mental energy. This effort creates a cycle of weariness, because every goal we reach gives rise to a new desire, creating a never-ending loop. This is one way that we exhaust ourselves. But there's another way, and this involves ceasing all movement, not physical movement, but the movement of thoughts. Thoughts like, I want to be someone, I want to do something, or I want something can cause a lot of inner turmoil. What's suggested here is that there's no need for these thoughts because you are already everything you need to be. By just sitting back and relaxing into an understanding of who you truly are, you can break free from this cycle of exhaustion. Once you've come to a deep understanding of your true nature, all the work has been done. The knowledge and the words that helped you on this journey cease to have any purpose. They are like tools that have done their job and are no longer needed. You don't need to hold on to the thoughts that once motivated you to move from one place to another, just like you no longer need to think about arriving at a destination once you're already there. The process of getting there becomes irrelevant. However, the sense of incompleteness that drives so many of our actions might still linger. Even after reaching a place of understanding, you might find that a new desire arises, a feeling that there's somewhere else to go or something else to do. This is because the feeling of being incomplete, which fuels desire, hasn't yet been fully addressed. But once you truly understand that you don't need to go anywhere or change anything about yourself, this feeling of incompleteness fades, not just temporarily, but permanently. You realize that there is nothing more you need to do or become, and this realization brings a sense of wholeness and contentment. Let's now shift to a particular teaching. While I won't dive into the specific details of its origins, what's important to note is that it presents a direct and powerful inquiry into the nature of self-knowledge and freedom. The central figure in the teach profound questions about self-knowledge, freedom, and abstinence. These questions touch on the essence of spiritual teachings and are often explored through complex systems of thought and practices. But what's remarkable about this teaching is that it bypasses all of those systems. It doesn't offer a methodology for how to achieve something or how to become someone. Instead, it's a direct dialogue where the question is straightforward and the answer is equally straightforward. The teaching begins where many spiritual paths end, offering clarity on the most fundamental questions. One of the key questions asked is about self-knowledge. How does one come to know the self? This is a question that can't be answered through a method or a practice. It's a realization that comes through a deep understanding. Another question involves freedom. How is freedom attained? Many people have preconceived notions about what freedom means. Some might think it's a state of complete peace, where you sit in meditation all day, free from all desires. Others might think that freedom involves a burst of energy or a mystical experience. People often think of freedom as something that can only be attained by special or extraordinary individuals, and that it's not meant for ordinary people. There's a sense that freedom is something to be achieved after years of spiritual effort, and that it's distant and difficult. But this is where we often misunderstand. The word freedom carries a lot of baggage. It makes us feel like we have to do something to attain it, as if there's a state of bondage that we need to break free from. But what if there is no bondage? What if the sense of being bound is an illusion? In that case, what is there to be free from? True freedom is not about breaking free from something. It's the understanding that there was never anything binding you in the first place. This understanding is what sets you free. The teaching shows us that self-knowledge and freedom are not things to be attained through effort. They are realizations that arise when we let go of our misconceptions and see reality for what it truly is. Abstinence, another key concept in this teaching, is often misunderstood. People might think that abstinence means giving up worldly pleasures or renouncing the material world, but abstinence here is about something deeper. It means putting aside everything you think you know, everything you've understood or learned, and approaching the truth with an open mind. It's not about rejecting or denying your beliefs, it's about suspending them, putting a question mark on them, and being open to seeing things as they are. If you hold on to your preconceived notions, you can't gain self-knowledge because your mind will always interpret new information through the filter of your old beliefs. Abstinence means becoming neutral, neither accepting nor rejecting what you've been taught, but simply listening with an open heart and mind. When you approach self-knowledge in this way, you're ready to receive the teaching. The teaching itself is simple but profound. It says that if you want freedom, you need to treat the objects of the senses like poison and embrace virtues like forgiveness, simplicity, kindness, contentment, and truth as if they were nectar. What does it mean to treat sense objects like poison? Sense objects are the things we experience through our five senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. These objects leave impressions in our minds, and we tend to cling to these impressions. But sense objects are not inherently bad. The problem arises when we become attached to them and mistake them for the source of our happiness. People often misunderstand this teaching and take it to an extreme. They hear that sense objects are poison and interpret this to mean that they should renounce everything: family, friends, society, even basic needs like food and water. But this is not the point. The senses and their objects are not the problem. The key is to find balance and moderation. If you eat too much, you feel sluggish and distracted. If you eat too little, you're hungry and can't focus. Neither extreme is helpful. But when you eat the right amount, you feel nourished and peaceful, and this allows you to focus on deeper truths. The same principle applies to all sense pleasures. Moderation is the key to self-discipline and inner peace. When you live within limits, neither indulging too much nor denying yourself completely, you are in harmony with yourself and the world. This balance allows you to be calm and focused, which is essential for understanding the deeper truths of life. Overindulgence and extreme renunciation both lead to distraction and suffering. The goal is not to abandon life or its pleasures, but to put them in their proper place. They are tools to be used, not ends in themselves. For example, money is a tool that can provide comfort and security, but it's not the ultimate goal. The comfort that money provides is valuable only if it allows you to maintain a peaceful state of mind in which you can reflect on your true nature. The problem arises when we confuse the means with the end. We start to believe that money, or the things it can buy, is the ultimate goal, and we become attached to it. But once you understand that material things are just tools to help you on your journey of self-knowledge, the attachment to them fades naturally. This is true abstinence. It's not about forcibly detaching yourself from the world, but about understanding that the things of the world are not the source of your happiness or fulfillment. They are simply means to an end, and that end is the realization of your true self. When you understand this, you no longer need to struggle with attachment or detachment. Everything in life becomes like fuel for a vehicle. You need it to keep moving forward, but you're not attached to the fuel itself. Your focus is on the journey, not on the fuel. The fuel is necessary, but it's not the point. Similarly, the things of the world are necessary for living, but they're not the ultimate purpose of life. The purpose is to understand who you are, and everything else is just a means to that end. This is what is meant by abstinence. It's not about renouncing the world or its pleasures, but about seeing them for what they are, tools that help you on your journey. Once you have them for living, but they're not the ultimate purpose of life. The purpose is to understand who you are, and everything else is just a means to that end. This is what is meant by abstinence. It's not about renouncing the world or its pleasures, but about seeing them for what they are, tools that help you on your journey. Once you have this understanding, your attachments will naturally fall away, and you'll be free to live in the world without being bound by it. This is the essence of true freedom.